Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Chosen Podcast. I'm Wes with the Chosen Ones. I have a really great episode for y'all today. I have Andy Secor of MakeShots, the shot guru. I call you that in my mind whenever I see you on Twitter, but I'm excited to have you, Andy. Um, I've been watching and interviewing players that you work with for the last couple of years, so very excited to talk to you today, and very excited for our listeners to hear from you. But how are you today?
I'm great. Super excited to be on. I've watched basically all of these episodes that you've done, and as we were talking before, learned a lot from players actually,
Yeah.
and just super excited to talk with you today because I think we could probably talk hoops forever.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Before we even press record, I felt like we had some good stuff that people missed out on, but it's all good.
Right.
Yeah. So I see you recently retired from being an educator. How's that been for you so far?
It's different, man. I know for 25 straight years, I woke up and went to school every day as a teacher or a principal. And now I'm trying to find a little bit of a new routine so I don't wake up 3 cups of coffee deep and 4 Netflix shows in by noon. So I'm trying to set a little structure. I'm trying to have a little morning routine. I make sure I get to the gym to work out.
Yeah.
I plan my schedule for the day, and then I go work out in the gym. I basically become a second shift worker because as soon as
Wow.
kids are out of school, that's when I go to work.
That's when you work. Yeah. Man. So definitely a different type of lifestyle. So make shots. I've been following you for a while and just seeing just some amazing stuff, some amazing growth. So I'm excited to talk to you about that. But talk about how that came together, like the origination, the idea, and then to where you are now.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I was a varsity basketball coach for 18 seasons, girls and boys, and I transitioned out of that when my kids were growing up so I could coach them and I became an elementary principal. But after coaching my kids for a couple years, like I just knew that part of God's plan for me is to be in the gym positively impacting players. And I was home this one winter and my wife looked at me like, "Why are you here? Like you're not supposed to be here. Like it's basketball season and you're supposed to be in a gym." So I basically kind of took a look at the West Michigan and state of Michigan basketball landscape, and kids were getting bigger, faster, and stronger than I'd ever seen. They were becoming better ball handlers than I'd ever seen, but I didn't necessarily think they were becoming better shooters. If you can make 12 dribble moves and get to 15 feet, but if you can't make it, like that doesn't count for any points.
Right.
And I saw kids working really hard at young levels, but I didn't feel like they necessarily were receiving the shooting instruction
Okay.
that they deserve. So one random drive home from a daddy-daughter vacation my daughter and I take every year, I
Mm-hmm.
had this idea and I had this stack of notes from when some of my players had been recruited that I had been gathering. And I texted my neighbor, Dylan Terpstra. I said, "Hey, you're going to be my first shooting client." I told my daughter to put together this janky Wix website so we looked like we were official. And I walked 5 houses down to Dylan's house to do my first training session. And so it's really crazy to me that 5 years ago I was texting this eighth grader begging for our first workout. And then last year I was a Big Ten shooting coach working with Michigan State women's program. It's been a pretty surreal experience.
Incredible. That's amazing. You kind of touched on this off camera, like the state of coaching today, where a lot of young coaches are just kind of thrown in, the varsity, coaching realm early. Um, but it's like you took the eighth grader and you basically begged them, hey, let me just work with you. You kind of paid your dues, and I'm not surprised where you are, where you're at today. So like that's incredible. So how many athletes do you have currently in your program?
Yeah, so we now have a training staff of four. So Mike Sukup is a former varsity coach in Plymouth, so he kind of runs our east side operation. Denny Krenicki, who coached at Coopersville and Aquinas,
Mm-hmm.
and then Trevor Chalmers, who coaches at Northview, and then myself. So the four of us are basically one of us is in the gym every single night, 7 days
Okay.
a week.
Yeah.
I have a group of about 50 that are in a new membership program that I started that
Mm-hmm.
I'm really excited about. And then Coach Sukup and Coach Chalmers and Coach Krenicki got about between 10 and 30. And then, we have we'll probably have about 50 camps coming up this summer. So, we've
Wow.
worked with over 5,000 players in the first 5 years, but we have a couple hundred that we're in contact with on a weekly basis.
Yeah. Dang. That's crazy. So how does that membership program work for anybody
Yeah.
interested?
So, I think, Wes, I think as you know, as a former player, like one of the things about shooting is you have to get in the gym. You
Yeah.
have to get in the driveway. Like if you just come see me once every couple weeks and that's the only time you shoot, like we're going to be able to make minimal progress. So
Right.
as I retired from education and had more time to be able to do this full time, I wanted to be able to offer players unlimited shooting workouts for one
Mm.
fee.
Wow.
I think in general, like people that are educators are bad business people, like because
Mm-hmm.
we got into what we do just to help kids. So I have
Yeah.
no idea business wise if it makes a lot of sense, but there's a kid that's in our membership program that I've seen in the first 3 weeks. I'm going to see 11 times.
Wow.
So he's going to come in for 9 shooting workouts and 2 open gyms. And in my old model, like I would only see kids 2 to 3 times a month, maybe.
Okay.
So the big thing with the membership is it's really for kids that have college aspirations or are current college players. You got to be pretty serious about the game to
Right.
be in the gym that much. But the basics of the membership are you get unlimited shooting workouts, and I want to see you consistently so you can really put in the time. And I'm not asking you to do a bunch on your own in between sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. I can only imagine what the progress will look like um after this summer with those five. So that's pretty cool.
It's fun.
Um
It's fun. I mean, it's just even just so we're in week 2 right now, and even already identifying some shooting skills that some players need to work on, and then starting to put that into practice. Like that's the
yeah,
super exciting stuff for me.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, I guess that's a great kind of segue or great question. When you get a new student athlete working with you, I guess what does that beginning look like? Just from the first session through, the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think first the first part is super relational. Like so, when our
Yeah.
players walk in the gym for the first 10 minutes, we don't talk much basketball.
Hmm.
Like, I just want to know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah.
How's their juice and energy today? How's
Yeah.
school going?
Right.
Um, so I think so much of the work that we're going to do with players is hand to hand. They're going to see me a lot
Yeah.
in the gym. So I think we try to build everything. Kind of all four of us are educators, and we really know the importance of having a solid relationship with these kids. So we're going to start by getting to know them. We try to figure out when they come in the gym with us for the first time, what's their learning style, what
Yeah.
their favorite subjects are in school, like all
Oh
the
my
things that will
gosh.
help us get to understand them better. And then we're going to do kind of a comprehensive evaluation. So, Wes, I think if we were to break down what we do at Make Shots into its simplest form, we watch players shoot thousands of shots in games and in training sessions. We
Yeah.
figure out what skills lead them to making shots, and we try to build those skills and make them better. But then we figure out what your common miss is. So do you normally miss short, long, left, or right? Then we figure out which skill is causing you to miss that way or not causing you to miss that way. And then we build those shooting skills. So we build a plan all around kind of the science of shooting, which is how often are you making shots? What skills are leading to makes? What skills are leading to misses? So as I get started with a new player, it's kind of first relational, and then second, kind of we're digging into the science of shooting.
Wow. That's incredible. The part where you said what's their learning style, I think that's major because I think a lot of coaches make the mistake of just going right in and like expecting them to pick up what they're, putting down without
I made that
even
mistake when I was a high school coach
we
all
all
the
did.
time.
We all did,
Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
I think that's
So
major.
a good example of that is like just learning what kind of feedback they would appreciate. So like Avery Zeenstra, Lily Zeenstra, two sisters, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing shooters. If I ask Avery, hey, if you miss short 10 times, what kind of feedback do you want from me? Do you
Mm,
want to know that your hand needs to get under the ball and then your elbow needs to lift? Or
yeah.
would you rather have me just tell you to shoot it harder? And
Okay.
Avery and her learning style would be like, Coach, tell me the mechanical part.
Right.
Lily would be like, Coach, that just confuses me. Just tell me to shoot it harder. Right. So, like, but if I just give them the feedback that I think is important to me or is the way that I learn, then I
Yeah.
wouldn't be fitting them and their learning styles the best.
Incredible. Man, that's awesome. I love those two, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm
Awesome
still
kids to be in the gym with.
Yeah, I'm still trying to get Avery on the show. Yeah, still haven't gotten her, but we will soon. So you mentioned working with Michigan State. Um, so that's probably one of your brightest spots so far. Any other successful stories, or maybe like individual players that have a really good success story?
Yeah, I love this question because it shines the light back on players.
Yeah,
Because no matter what work I do with them behind the scenes in the gym, like they got to make it on Friday night. Like they got
absolutely.
to make it on like when the lights are shining, it has nothing to do with me.
Yeah,
But the progress and whatever we've grown to as a business is just because of their progress. I mean,
yeah,
if I start working with Jillian Brown and she's shooting 19%, and at the end of the year she shoots 17%, like I get fired. I
right,
don't get
right.
paid. Our business doesn't grow, right? I love the quantifiable part of our work. So when you think about success stories, I always look at it as proficiency and improvement.
Mm,
So like proficiency, I work with a lot of great shooters that were great shooters way before they got in the gym with me. Like I don't
yeah,
deserve any credit for that. Hopefully
right.
we made them a little bit better, but they were already great. Like Maddie Petrulia, right? I mean,
Mm,
two-time leading three-point percentage shooter, top 15 all-time made threes. Olivia
sniper.
Brown, who's now at Valpo, was
Yep.
in the top 25 in three-point percentage the entire year. McKenna Ferguson, Avery Zeenstra, Tommy Gregor, Lily Zinstra, like those are all super proficient shooters, but I feel like most of them have achieved unbelievable things, but hopefully we made them from great to maybe even a little bit better.
Absolutely.
The flip side of that is proficiency, right? Or
Hmm.
I'm sorry, is growth.
Yeah.
So like the players that started at a place and really, really made great gains. So Jillian's a great example. She shot 19% as a
Hmm.
freshman at East Grand Rapids from three. And
Yep.
then by her senior year, she shot 41. So that's
Wow.
amazing growth with the time that she put in.
Yeah.
Theron Halleck made 24 threes as a junior. She made 55 threes as a senior.
My goodness.
So those are players that are obviously great shooters, but they might not have always been great shooters.
Yeah. Right.
Allie Carlson went from 29% as a sophomore to 40% as a junior. So,
Mm.
some of those proficient shooters, obviously I'm proud of the work that they put in, but I'm also proud of like the Trevor Zamrons, the Emma Brewers, like,
Yeah.
and some players that nobody has heard of yet
Yeah.
that started at a certain spot and they just made unbelievable improvement.
No doubt. No doubt. Um, it's no secret that Jillian is my favorite player. Um, to come out of here, I just love her game since she was a freshman.
She
But
was
I
one of the
always,
very first. Her and Maddie Petrulia were two of the very first players that I trained. And like,
yeah,
it might seem weird to say this back to a teenager, but in a lot of ways, I'm forever indebted to them because they took
yeah.
a chance on me when I was nobody.
Oh man,
Them and their
that's
families, I wasn't anybody. But once you start training with them, all of a sudden the buzz around you gets a little bit different. And
no
super
doubt.
grateful to the two of them and so many others that jumped on board early.
Absolutely. That's huge. That's huge. Shout out to them. And when I remember when Jillian was a freshman, I saw her play against East Kentwood, and I was telling my boy, I'm like, "Yo, they got this freshman Jillian Brown. She is a problem. Once she figures out like her jump shot, it's over with." And she certainly did. So
She just always plays in such go mode.
yeah,
Right? Like she is always like mentally, she's so strong and doesn't let anything phase her. And I
yeah,
just love the way she approaches the game.
exactly, exactly. At that time when she was at East, we kind of lived kind of right on the outskirts of EGR. So whenever they had home games, I was able to get over there conveniently. But
Right.
yeah, I watched her a lot, and yeah, she just continually got better every single year. So yeah, shout out to Jillian and all the Brown sisters. Macy winning Miss Basketball, so that was
That
really
was
cool to
awesome for
see.
West Michigan.
Yeah, no doubt. Um, So let's get into just shooting in general. I would love for some of our players that listen to the show to maybe get some pointers from you, um, with some things that maybe they could take away and work on their own. Um, so when it comes to just the mechanics and shooting as a basic, what are the most important things players should work on to start improving?
Oh, this is my jam now. Now we're really in the wheelhouse, the details, man. Um, so So I think I would start, like I tell players, like the first thing I want you to do is almost step back and try to become a better student of your shot.
Yeah.
Right? Like watch all the shots you took on huddle from games last year. Really try to identify what are my makes, what are my misses. Ask yourself what percentages you're shooting. Like players will come to me and they're like, "Coach, should we change my shot?" I'm like, "What'd you shoot? You shot 17% from three and 55% at the line." Yes. The math says your shot needs to be changed or adjusted. You shot, 51% from three and you shot it like this. I'll
Yeah.
take it. That's
Right.
51%. Like, let's not lose sight of the goal, which is for it to go in,
Yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
not always about how necessarily pretty is. So I think the first thing I would tell players is really analyze your shot.
Mm.
Watch yourself shoot in slow motion. Have a buddy just take a slow motion video of you with your phone from the front, from the behind, from the side, and just take a look at the things that you notice and identify. 75% of the threes I missed last year were off the front of the rim. So I have an issue with
Yeah.
power.
Okay.
Or 40% of the free throws I missed were left. So I have an issue with hand placement because I'm missing left to right.
Right.
So the first thing we always try to do is we always try to get players to become a better student of their shot.
Got it.
So understand yourself as a shooter. It doesn't mean you have to get into all the minutiae and the details that I do, but at
Mm.
least on the surface level, kind of understand yourself as a shooter. Because I think a lot of players, they don't even take that first step. They just
Yeah.
want to get in the gym and grind.
Right.
And unfortunately, I always say, if you take 10,000, if you walk into the gym with a broke ass jump shot and you shoot 1,000 shots, you're going to walk out of the gym with the same broke ass jump shot.
Mm.
Like, so you have to have a better understanding of mechanically where you are. It's not just about working and grinding and reps and sweat. Like,
Yeah.
there has to be kind of an analytical part to the science of shooting too.
Right. Dang. Man, we can end right there. That's good.
No, and I think then as we dive into mechanics, like think about, like, I think the beauty of shooting is what happens when the ball moves in between stationary points. So like
Yeah.
what you and I were taught as shooters was not bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not bad. It's not bad to talk about balance and elbow and follow through, but all
Yeah.
of those are stationary pieces. Like the beauty
Right.
of shooting is how the ball moves in
Mm-hmm.
between those pieces. So there's a reason that Caitlin Clark, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry can make it from 35 feet when Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson and Isaiah Thomas couldn't. Like
Got it.
we've learned more about shooting in the last 30 years and the physics of shooting. I'm
Yeah.
glad nobody told Steph, hey, you have to shoot like Jordan,
Mm-hmm.
because Steph is 1,000 times better shooter than Jordan,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Right.
glad no one told him that they needed to do things that way. So really, the sequence of shooting. So the most important thing to us at Make Shots is how the ball moves and the
Mm-hmm.
order in which the ball moves, because we create power not with our legs,
Mm.
but we create power by moving the ball first, moving the ball without it stopping, moving the ball straight, and moving the ball fast. So if
Wow.
you really start to understand my feet land, then the ball moves, then my legs connect, the sequence and order in which that happens, that's the most important part of shooting for us. And if you can do that, then you won't twist with your body, you won't push with your guide hand, because all of those things are things that the body does to generate power. And if you do these other things to help your body generate power efficiently, then you'll be able to stay away from some of those shooting issues.
For sure. Gee whiz, where were you when I was in high school? My goodness.
I'll
This
tell you,
is
I've had some great mentors, man. Dave Love, Mike Dunn, Brianna Garza. Like, there's shooting coaches have just been so giving. Like,
yeah.
I'm sending them questions on social media. They're taking my phone calls. Like, it's just been unbelievable to have people like pour into me as
Mm-hmm.
someone that they didn't even know.
No
But I
doubt.
guess that's the beauty of the basketball world, right?
For sure.
It's why local trainers, like, I was just in the gym the other day with Ryan Shaw, and I'm watching him, and we're learning from each other. And I guess it's just the beauty of the basketball world is we're all here to try to help players get better.
Absolutely. Gotta love that too. Um, so you talked about, getting a friend to maybe, film your shot and analyze
Yeah.
that. I see you post all the time, your players, the players that you work with, and their shooting video. So talk about that, and how can players analyze their film in games to be able to improve their shooting.
Yeah, and I do think that's a little bit of a different theory that we have at Make Shots, and it's not that we don't
Okay.
study great shooters.
Yeah.
Like I can study Kevin Durant, and it helps my overall framework.
Yeah.
but I don't have any shooters that are 6'10", 240 that can shoot it from here.
Right.
Right. So like I would rather show Jillian Brown something of Grace Berger or Theron Halleck or Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
rather show Lily Zeenstra something of McKenna Ferguson or Ashley Bauer or Emma Brewer. Right.
Right. Right.
So I think a lot of it is studying players of similar size, strength, skill levels. Like we can all shoot. I'm not going to say, hey, watch Steph shoot and then shoot like Steph.
Right.
Like that's a unicorn. That's like giving a first grader a novel and saying, hey, go read this. Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's not apples to apples. So, I really think it starts with, players really looking at slow motion video of themselves shooting.
Yeah.
And saying, okay, like how straight am I shooting the ball? For the ball to go in, it has to do two things. It has to go straight and it has to go up.
Right.
So how good am I at those two things? Like, is the center of my hand pushing through the center of the ball? How much is my guide hand impacting the ball and how is it spinning? Like, am I a left to right misser or am I a short to long misser? So I think if players just did those two things, if they just watched some video of themselves shooting the ball in like a workout or in their driveway, watched some video of themselves shooting the ball in games, and then watched players of other size, skill levels with some similarities, they would really, I think, they might not need me. I think they could really do a lot of things on their own to identify some things that they need as a shooter.
For sure. Have you ever had that situation before where maybe a player just came in and kind of figured things out and just said, hey, I'm good now?
Yeah, we do some virtual training too. So I have some players that I kind of send workouts to, and I always joke that maybe they just don't want to hear me talk so much.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to be in the gym with me. But like they need is they just need the workout plan.
Okay.
Like they're like, coach, what drills do I do? How long do I do them for? What scores should I get? What skills am I working on? So sometimes players will come in and they'll be like, I kind of got it, coach, but can you just email me some workouts every now and then? And obviously that's free, no charge. Like just try to provide that for them. Other players are in the gym more often because they can't find a gym.
Yeah.
They can't find a place to come in and shoot. We got some beautiful facilities that we use, but I think to your question, sometimes players feel like they come in a couple times and we give them enough tools and resources to go do it on their own.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's awesome. So with the Chosen Ones, we have the Chosen Academy, and I'm sure you know that we emphasize the mental side of the game a lot. So my question for you is, do you view or use any, mental aspects of your coaching, whether that's confidence building or anything like that in your program?
Yeah, I love seeing the videos and pictures of the team you worked with and like them around and the questions that they were being asked. And
thank you.
It's not easy being a teenager today in social media society, especially if you're a athlete.
Yeah.
If I went 2 for 10 in my high school game, nobody really knew other than who was at the game.
Right.
If McKenna Ferguson goes 2 for 10, it's all over social media the next day.
Yep.
So I think the mental aspect is way more important than it's ever been, in my opinion. And a pet peeve of mine is when I hear adults of any kind, coaches, trainers, parents tell a player to be confident.
Yeah.
They're like, be confident.
Yeah.
And I'm like, which player doesn't want to be confident? Like, who's saying I want to come in and not be confident? But you have to teach them strategies on how to be confident. Stop telling kids to be confident without telling them how to be confident. So we talk about the mental aspect of shooting in every single workout. Like there's not a workout that goes by whether I say, ask players how they're going to approach it. I ask them to choose a strategy. Of the 50, 60 camps we'll run this year, the number one camp that I have that sells out the fastest is Confidence Camp.
Wow.
We have a 2-hour confidence camp. We've ran it 5 times. I try to limit it to 12 players because it's a pretty intimate conversation and players have to be pretty open, honest, and vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I try to take the confidence camp stuff that we do and sprinkle it into the workouts that we do every day. So our kind of simplistic view of a confidence formula is one, like choose your mindset.
Yeah.
Like I would argue when every basketball player goes into a game, they get to pick the mindset they're starting with. Right now, you're going to get punched and knocked in the mouth and miss a shot, but you get to pick that mindset to start.
Yep.
The second part is like some of it as a shooter is you have to earn your confidence. So if you get in the gym with me and we're doing Oregon threes and you make 12 today, and 6 months from now you make 20, you're
Mm-hmm.
going to walk with that peacock strut. Like you're going to
Yep.
know that you're better as a shooter. That's not fake confidence. That's just math.
Exactly.
Those are just numbers. And then, Wes, to be honest, the third part that I feel like has been the most impactful on players is we give players 5 strategies that they can choose to pick from when they miss shots. So missed
Okay.
shots are inevitable. Every single player is going to miss 3 in a row, is going to get in the locker room at halftime and be 1 for 8.
Yep.
So they pick one of those 5 strategies and they commit to using that in games. And some players will share with me that that's been the most impactful thing, more than any of the mechanical things that we've done.
Gee
Because what
whiz.
they're basically doing is they're tricking their mind, instead of when they miss 5 in a row to getting pissed off, frustrated, only drive to the basket, go to the corner, take themselves out of the game, all the real things that happen.
Gosh.
Instead, their mind goes, okay, no, I know that that's just math. I'm going to get to my
Yeah.
percentage. I'll be okay. So
Yep.
then the brain and heart are problem solvers instead of being kind of a Debbie Downer, which is what can happen. So I don't think you can do enough with the mental aspect of shooting or of basketball.
My gosh. That's so good. That's so good. That's music to my ears. Because for me, I was a player that I was so up and down mentally, honestly. I'm sure you have players like this, but a lot of my games were dictated by how I was doing in warm-ups.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And I didn't
100%.
really, if I was having a bad warm-up, I didn't really know how to regulate myself into, man, okay, I mean, it's just warm-ups. Let's go out and kill. Like if I had a bad
Yeah,
warm-up, it's like, oh, that's a bad sign. And 9 times out of 10, it probably would not be a good game. So
yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. That is so
It's crazy
important.
how players will tell us what they need. Like you and I talked about learning a lot from players.
Yeah,
Like I started to make shots because I wanted to help kids take this little round basketball and put it through this little round hoop more so they could chase dreams.
yeah,
But what I found is they need just as much support mentally and
right.
emotionally as everything else. And probably you talked about success stories. One of my favorite success stories is I trained a player who during her senior year, we have those 5 strategies that I said.
Yeah.
She picked strategy number 1 for her opening game, and I think it made her more pissed off. Like it was the
Wow.
wrong choice. It just did not work. And then she picked choice number 2 for another couple games. Didn't work. Choice 3 didn't work. And she was miserable on the court. Like she was playing pretty well, but she was yelling at officials, not a great teammate, not great to her coaches. And in game 11, she picked one of our strategies, which is just smile.
Yeah.
Like just be poly positive, just smile no matter what
Just
happens. And when
smile.
she picked that, the last 15 games of the year, not only did she play better, but she was just happier. She was enjoying the game. She looked like an 8-year-old out at the YMCA making her first basket. And when I
Yeah.
think about success stories, I think about her because of how committed she was to the work. And
Yeah.
she didn't fail when those first few things didn't help her.
Man, just smile. That's it's big, scientifically
That's not for
proven.
everybody, but that was for
It's
her.
not. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Body language is so important. I talk about this all the time. It's not only important for you, but it's important for people around you, whether it's like your coaches, your
Yes.
teammates, the other team. Like if the other
Right.
team sees your body language is poor, they know they got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If your coach sees your body language is poor, then he's not gonna put you in. She's not gonna put you in. So yeah, that's huge. Um, so you talked about all the mechanical stuff for players that want to improve their shot. So after that, after they kind of figure out their mechanics and the things that they really need to fix, for the players that are listening that mostly train on their own, how can they, I guess if you want to like put together like a quick 3 month, I don't know,
Yeah.
shooting workout that they can do a couple times
Yeah.
a week, from like types of drills, number of shots, how long the
Yeah.
workout should be. What are your recommendations there?
Yeah, great question. So I would start with have a plan.
Mm,
So just have a plan, right? Like write it down. I'm going to commit to shooting this many times a week. I don't care about how many makes, I don't care how many misses, but I'm going to put this much time in. Like I'm going to be invested in the process. So I think the
yeah.
first part is Like I see players all the time go into the gym and they're shooting, but they're just shooting around. And they're really not getting that much better, but they're trying. But I don't feel like that's their fault. I don't feel like they know any better.
Right.
So, like to be efficient and purposeful with your time, we really talk about 4 kinds of shooting. So, if you come to watch our workouts, you're going to see players do 4 things. One, they're going to do some kind of form shooting. So, I would tell players to spend 10 to 12 minutes on some type of form shooting that is specific to the skill you're trying to build. So, like if you walk into our gym, you'll see 10 players form shooting. None of them will be doing the same drill. Why? Because none of their shots are the same.
Wow.
Like a
Yeah.
shot is a unique piece of art. Every single player's they're not have their hand behind their back doing grandpa's form shooting. Like everybody is doing something different because every shot is different. So I would tell the player, hey, if you're working on getting your hand in the center of the ball, like do a couple drills that work on placement and making yourself shoot it straight. If you're working on arc angle, try to make sure you get your palm to the ceiling as fast as you can. So take about 10 to 12 minutes to really just work on your form and build confidence in that form.
Yeah.
The second part that we do is competitive shooting. So that's like, I got to make X amount of threes in X amount of minutes, or I'm going to do 2 minutes and make as many dribble pull-ups as I can. So have some segment of competitive shooting where you're tracking your scores,
Yeah.
because that's how you know you're getting better over time.
Right.
Do the same drills week after week and chart your progress. And you can do it on an app on your phone. You can do it on a sticky note. It doesn't have to be complicated.
Yeah.
So the second part, I think, is that competitive shooting. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have a mom, dad, brother, sister, teammate, someone that can be with you, the last 2 parts of our shooting workout are contested shooting and shooting versus defense. Because in a game, you don't get to make shots versus air. And you got to be able to shoot with pace and speed. So contested shooting for us is when someone's closing out on you, but you have to shoot it. So you don't have the decision to dribble or get to the rim. And then the fourth part of shooting is shooting versus defense, where then you can make reads and decisions. A lot of our players are great mechanically, but they don't have great shot selection. Like they take shots they shouldn't, and they don't take shots they should.
Yeah.
So we also feel like we have to teach some decision making. So I think for players out there, form shooting, competitive shooting, contested shooting, and then shooting versus some kind of defense. Some days you might not have a partner and you spend your time on 1 and 2. Other days you got someone to go with you and you spend maybe a little bit more time on 3 and 4.
Incredible. That's good. So follow-up question. So I have one student athlete that responded to my Instagram story asking, like, how do you set the number of shots, each day? Is it like, do I just pick a number, or like what's a realistic number of like makes that you should make each day?
Yeah, I love this because this floats around at this time of the year because it's the off season,
Right.
right? And a lot of times players have went through this last season and they looked at their shooting percentages, or they get to an exit interview with a high school or college coach, and one of the first things that said is you got to become a better shooter.
Yeah.
Right. So the player's like, well, what do I have to do? So we always build it based on the number of drills you're going to do. So like, I want you to do the Oregon drill or the Valpo drill until you get to a certain score. And if that takes you making 125, or you have to do the drill 6 times and takes you taking 375, I would encourage players to think less about the number of shots they have to take or make, and more about a competitive drill and a score, and like holding themselves accountable to improving in that drill over time. And the beauty of that is, in terms of our work, is that's something where any person listening to this, like they can send me a message, an email. I'll send you a bunch of drills, a bunch of scores that like our high school players get, our college players get. Like we do that for free with coaches and players all the time.
Yeah.
But I would encourage them to think about like challenging drills and the scores they're trying to get. And I'm just going to do it as many times as I have to till I get that number.
Man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So I'll reiterate that Andy just said. Reach out to him if you guys need any pointers or any drills or anything like that you can do on your own, which is super cool. I was going to say this to the end, but where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so email is Andy G Secor, SECOR @gmail.com. So if you want just some quick info back from me and for me to send you stuff, that's easiest. We have a weekly newsletter that comes out that's free. Nice. It has shooting advice, videos, drills, camps, upcoming opportunity, all of that. And then it's Andrew Secor on Facebook. So we always say Facebook for the parents. At Secor Sig, SECORSIG on Twitter, Twitter for the college coaches. And then for all the kids, Instagram at MakeShots LLC on those 3 different platforms.
Dope. So make sure you give Andy a follow on all the platforms right now. I got 2 more questions, just really fun ones that I like to end on. 3 favorite shooters that you like to either watch or just kind of break their games down.
Yeah. If I'm just like kind of like I'm not in analyze form, like I just want the beauty of watching a player shoot the ball on TV.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch Steph, Clay, and Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
So I'm going to watch those 3 just because their movements are really simple. They're really efficient. There's no wasted motion.
Right.
So if I'm going to watch, like, without trying to do any analyzing, just to watch somebody shoot and make me smile, like, I'm going to watch those 3 because the way they move the ball is unbelievable. If I'm going to study a little bit of shooting, I love to watch shooters that I haven't trained, but I know are of, like, similar size and skill. So, like, Ethan Erickson, who played at Forest Hills Northern and is at Ferris State. I love the way he moves the ball and his shooting move. And then I love to watch Abby Kimball shoot. So like trying to like those 2 are like players who I feel like our players can learn a lot from. So I think kind of 2-way answer. One if I'm just trying to smile and one if I'm trying to study too.
Okay. That's dope. Good stuff. All right. Last question. The best basketball game that you've ever witnessed live?
Oh man, I'm gonna give a biased first answer.
Okay.
It was one of my last years of coaching, 2007, when we had Austin Thornton, Luke Walker, Ben Brooks, Luke Holtrip, Jason Gust. We lost to East Grand Rapids in the regional final in double overtime. They had Kelvin Grady, DeMarcus Grady, Justin Young, Preston Burrell. We had beaten them in the jam at the Van at Van Andel that year when they were number 1. And that was the best and worst basketball game I've ever been part of. We played at Coopersville. It was a packed house. We had a couple different chances to win it, but if I could go back and relive just one, I mean, I was a nervous wreck. It was so competitive. If I could just go back and enjoy that, probably a little bit more. Right. I think as a fan, I went to watch UCLA against Princeton in 1997 when Princeton upset them in the NCAA tournament. We were in college at Hillsdale. A couple buddies of mine just drove and jumped in the car, didn't have barely any money, scalped our way into the NCAA tournament and watched Princeton, who was like a 15 seed, upset Toby Bailey and that UCLA squad. And that was like just like a basketball junkie trip that turned out to be awesome.
Man, I love how it works out that way sometimes. Man, that's cool. I was actually I was at that EGR game when you guys beat them because we played in the game before. I think before, So we played Hudsonville.
Hudsonville,
you guys played. Yeah.
That was an awesome event.
Oh yeah, that was like they treated us like we were professionals. It was
the starting lineups were like NBA quality. And that was awesome.
I'll never forget that.
That was fun. I mean, I would have rather won probably the regional final and lost the Jam at the Van game. At least we got one of them because that East squad was loaded.
Yeah, for sure. Man. Well, Andy, I appreciate you, man. This has been one of probably the most informative episode that I've had, and I hope, plenty of athletes get their hands on this. And thank you so much. I could just tell how knowledgeable you are about shooting, and I'll definitely have to come through to one of your sessions just to kind of see how you guys operate. So, and meet you in person too. So.
Yeah, no question. And I think my final message to shooters would be like, don't feel like you have to go to make shots. There's amazing trainers in our area. I'm Possible and Ryan Shaw and Austin Randall and Jordan Myrick. Don't feel like you have to come to us. It's not about working with us. It's just about working. Get out there and find somebody you connect with and try to get better. And I just appreciate, Wes, all the things you do for basketball here in West Michigan and bringing to the spotlight players and anything that has to do with this amazing game, I'm all in on.
For sure. No, I appreciate the love. And yeah, so best of luck to you this summer. I know you got a lot going on. I'll be following, and hopefully everybody else will too. So appreciate it again. And that's another episode of the Chosen Podcast. So thank you guys for following and listening. Make sure you share this episode out and continue to spread the word about what we're doing. Thanks, y'all. Peace.